It's become part of the city's culture, identity, history. But this sport goes beyond the fortress. The Scarlet and Gray.
The UNLV men's hockey team has dominated.
Our boys in silver.
It's a great opportunity. It's a great challenge. It's the right time. It feels right.
The monsters in the north.
The Golden Knights are beefing up their minor leagues with the Night Monsters.
Night Monsters all the way.
We are super excited.
And the next generation.
Covering the stars of tomorrow.
They live at the rink. They love the game.
Vegas wanted hockey. Vegas got hockey.
Covering every local team on the ice. This is Hockey in the Desert Weekly.
Welcome inside another edition of Hockey in the Desert Weekly. I'm your host, Vince Sapienza. The Four Nations Face-Off is officially underway and almost done. Best on best hockey featuring NHL players for the first time since 2014, and it couldn't have gone worse for the Golden Knights. More on the injury to Shea Theodore in a minute, but first, let's fire home a snapshot of what's in store over the next 30 minutes. We've got a full recap of the Four Nations. The NHL announced the World Cup of Hockey is returning. You're going to hear from NHL Commissioner Gary Bettman regarding that international tournament. And as always, we'll take a little Scarlet and Gray. Skating Rebels freshman defenseman Dylan Kuntz joining us in studio. Slides in down the boards.
I wonder if they showed any clips of the '96 World Cup.
Theodore took a hit, and he is holding his right arm as he head towards the bench.
He's right here, and it's the way he tried to protect himself, in my opinion anyway, that he would jam something on the right. See, he's balancing here, now he's taking the hit, and now he's getting his hands forward to make sure that his head doesn't go in first right there, and you can see him wincing right away.
Not even 2 periods into the tournament, we have a major injury to talk about, and it's one that will be talked about here in Vegas for a while. Shea Theodore played just 9 shifts and a second under 7 minutes for Team Canada before taking this hit from Swedish forward and LA King Adrian Kempe. The Vegas defenseman got x-rays but did not return and was ruled out the rest of the game.
That's a big blow. What a kid, and he only got to play 6 minutes, and it's heartbreaking for the kid. And he was the first one there at the door hugging everybody when we came off, and it's that's a tough one to swallow because you just know how much it means. But I guess hopefully in hindsight he got to touch the ice, and for us it was tough.
Yeah, it kills me, right? Been playing with Shea for almost 7 years now. Become great friends. Really looking forward to playing with him. So hopefully there's some good news, but. It's anybody, but especially a close teammate. Playing with him in Vegas, it breaks your heart. But he's a warrior. He'll, if it's something long term, he'll be gearing up, ready to go for us in Vegas.
Now, a little more than 12 hours after sustaining that injury, the Golden Knights provided this update on Theodore, labeling him week to week with an upper body injury. Now, while it remains to be seen how big of a loss that is for the Golden Knights, it is a massive one in the short term for the Team Canada, though they were able to get past Sweden in overtime 4-3. Knights captain Mark Stone made it 3-1 in the second period before Sweden rallied in the third to tie the game. In the extra frame, it would be the Maple Leaf delivering for the Maple Leafs. Mitch Marner netting the game winner. Sidney Crosby named player of the game with 3 assists.
Well, they announced the starting lineup, and all the way through, right up till the end of the game, and that was as someone who loves loves to play in environments like that. I grew up a Montreal Canadiens fan, and have an ovation like that here was really special and something I always remember.
All right, let's stay at the Bell Center, check in with the red, white, and blue, taking on Finland, tied at 1 after 1. We start in the second where Matt Boldy is going to pull off an absolutely wild deflection. The Minnesota men, Brock Faber, the shot. Boldy, the tip, gives the United States a 2-1 lead after 2. But in the third, that is where the Americans blew the thing wide open. They scored 3 goals in the first 3 minutes. Jack Eichel had 2 assists, and this one none better than this dish to Brady Tkachuk for his second of the night. Older brother Matthew also potted a pair. He would take home player of the game honors with a 3-point outing, helping the U.S. finish off the Finns 6-1. Afterwards, he talked about playing with Eichel and his brother on the same line.
He's like the perfect centerman for guys like Brady and I. His speed, his two-way responsibilities, obviously his offense with his shot and finding the ice and and I think it's good for us to have him because he carries the puck a lot. So it really simplifies our game a bit. Yeah, and then once we started playing, after a few shifts, we were getting some sustained O-zone and making some plays to the neutral zone, but playing a simple game, and I thought Ike led the way for us tonight, and it's really nice playing with him. I know Brady would say the same thing.
Now, a couple days later, as good a game as Finland-Sweden turned out to be earlier in the day, it turned out it was the undercard to the main event on Saturday night. Montreal, Quebec, a city rich in hockey history, was once again the venue for one of the most memorable games played on ice. February 15, 2025, the United States and Canada added another chapter in their storied rivalry, and as we later learned, this one was written with a text message.
The United States plays Canada.
And this four-nation face-off matchup is underway, and the gloves are off. Matthew Tkachuk and Brandon Hagel. Here they come right to right. Sam Bennett fighting Matthew's brother Brady. Brady gets the better of this one.
There's a little discussion during the day, and yeah, there's a group chat going on today, and so still something a baby though, but you know what? And then we just kind of reaffirmed that we're gonna do that, and I think Matthew's fight to start it off was just such an energy boost. I think I was more excited, more nervous than my own, and then Millsy to cap it off to go against a big guy like that. I think he did a great job, and it was a pretty awesome experience.
United States physicality brings a lot of grit, a lot of sandpapers.
Yeah, I had to send a message. We're here in Montreal on a Saturday night. We want it to be our time, and that's a message sent right from the get-go.
Brady Tkachuk yelled across to Bennett. He said, "Hey, Benny, after this, we're going."
It's very indicative of what this means to the players. There's two teams out there that are very competitive, that have a ton of pride for their respective teams and their countries. And for me, when you have an investment in trying to win like the way that it occurred, I think that's an indication of what an incredible hockey win.
We thought it would be a wild night here in Montreal.
It wasn't planned. That wasn't two coaches throwing guys over saying this is happening. None of that happened. That was as organic as it gets. And it was probably 10 years of no international hockey exhaled in a minute and a half.
Now in the center of the action, it's Colt Parayko and JT Miller.
That was pretty fun. That was the coolest experience I've probably had on the ice, one of them. And to hear the building like that, it's something you never forget. And there's a lot of bad blood, but at the same time, tons of respect for the other team, and it's just a fun environment to be in. Like I say, don't get this opportunity very often. So.
Watch Jack Eichel's hands. He takes the puck deep into his feet, and he lays this beautiful feather pass right here, flat, so Gensel doesn't have to do anything with it.
It was great. Everyone's invested in the game emotionally, and can't say enough about it. Everyone was ready to go, and those guys stepping up and doing that, it's not an easy thing to do, and I can't give them enough credit for doing it. And I think it dragged all of us into it, and we were ready to go from puck drop. There's a lot of work to still be done, and it's been a lot of fun so far. And what's better than representing your country? And it's been an amazing experience.
The U.S. did a fabulous job.
So the scene shifted from Montreal to Boston, and it was regulation win and in for either Canada or Finland, and it was the ones with the maple leaf on the sweater. Shot out of a cannon, Connor McDavid getting the party started for the second straight game, and then Nathan McKinnon followed it up just 46 seconds later. Canada led 4-0, but Finland would fight back, scoring 3 unanswered to make it a 1-goal game with 1:17 left. However, the Canadian captain put a kibosh to any kind of comeback attempt, filling the empty net right here for a 5-3 win and a rematch with the USA in the championship game.
Where we wanted to be, right, with a chance to win the tournament. So giving ourselves that opportunity, have a couple of days here to rest, recover, and get ready for the game. I'm sure the fans are not going to stop talking about it for a while, but that's a game when I retire 10 years down the road, and I'm talking with my kids and friends and family that will be a fun one to reminisce. But if you look at the game, it's a 1-goal game. They obviously, right before we had a 2-on-1, they capitalized on their 2-on-1. That's the difference of the game. So it's going to be a tight game, an exciting game. But yeah, these are the fun ones that you want to play.
So a few hours later, Jack Eichel hitting the ice, getting the A on his sweater. Now, there was nothing to play for between the U.S. and Sweden in this one, but try telling that to the Americans. 35 seconds in, Chris Kreider burying the rebound. Eichel picks up his 4th assist in 3 games to give the Red, White, and Blue a 1-0 lead. However, things would come to a crashing halt. Already without Matthew Tkachuk for this one, Brady Tkachuk takes a hard spill into the goal. He would try and come back, but later ruled out for the rest of the game. And that is when the Swedes would grab the momentum. Gustav Nyquist levels this one at 1, and then with seconds left in the period, it's Jesper Bratt with a wicked wrister. Jake Onger couldn't see it. USA down 2-1 through 2. Eichel had his chances to even this one up. He hit the post twice. Team USA found the iron 5 separate times. They come up short against Sweden 2-1. The focus now for the U.S. Thursday night against Canada.
That's what we wanted, right? And we know they're going to be ready to play. I expect their best, and they should expect ours as well. So it's going to be a great game.
Short, sweet, and to the point. Despite all the ice, we're just getting warmed up here on Hockey in the Desert Weekly. The Four Nations face-off not done yet, but the NHL and Players Association already getting set for the next international tourney. I'll tell you all about it next.
You're watching Hockey in the Desert Weekly.
Welcome back inside Hockey in the Desert Weekly. I'm Vince Sapienza. Prior to the start of the Four Nations, the NHL and the Players Association announced the return of the World Cup of Hockey in 2028. This will be the 4th edition of the tournament and the first since 2016. Now, games are expected to be played in North America and Europe with at least 8 teams competing. Officials say the goal here is to have a consistent presence of international best-on-best hockey.
If we can get this momentum going, it's going to be great for the game of hockey. It's going to be great for our players. It's going to be great for our fans to do that. So I think ultimately we'd like to, but we'll take one tournament at a time. So let's get through Four Nations and we can talk about the next 30 years.
All international competition that we do with NHL players is a joint collaboration and partnership with the Players Association. We now have a partner since Marty has been at the Players Association that has put us in a position collectively to execute these types of events and make these decisions for the long term. That hasn't always been the case.
International play, you look to soccer, they have so much international play that gets so much attention, right? We're not soccer as far as a global game, but we're not that far behind, right? And I think that's the long-term goal here, is that this just becomes a part of the game over the long term, where fans, players, everyone can look forward to these guys playing for their countries on a regular basis. And honestly, creating moments like Sid did in 2010 with the golden goal here in Canada that lasts a lifetime. I mean, that's really what we're trying to do here over the long haul. And the players are extremely supportive of it.
Now, shortly after this was announced, I reached out to the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority to see if this is an event that makes sense for Vegas. I was told the bidding process has not started, but once they do, the LVCVA will collaborate with the Golden Knights and submit a bid if they deem it to be a benefit like any other major event here in the city. All right, time to bring it home in Henderson, where the Silver Knights picked up their 4th straight win, down 1. Mitch McLean scored his 4th goal in his last 5 games to tie the game at 1, but the story in this one was the rookie Braden Bowman scoring twice for his team, leading 10th and 11th goals of the season. Jakub Rabanic would make it a 2-goal lead in the 3rd. His tally would be the game winner in the 5-4 victory.
Gage Quinney tied it in the final minute. Here he comes in on Stauber to win it. Quinn to the backhand, scores!
So the Silver Knights picked up their 5th straight win Saturday night at Lee's Family Forum. Tanner Lazinski and Lucas Johansson both in milestones in the game, scoring their 100th career AHL points in the 5-4 win. But that winning streak would come to an end less than 24 hours later after HSK fell 7-4. And this past week, the Golden Knights traded forward Grigory Denisenko to the Nashville Predators for future considerations. Denisenko represented the Silver Knights at the All-Star game for the AHL the past 2 seasons. In that span, he suited up for the Golden Knights 7 times without recording a point. Denisenko had 24 points in 42 games played this past season with Henderson. And let's hear those stick taps once again for the 12UAA Las Vegas Storm squad, who opened up the 65th annual Quebec International Pee Wee Hockey Tournament with a dub. The Storm beat the hometown team 3-2, and now the rest of the way out, it is win or go home. The standings are starting to get tight in the ECHL. The Night Monsters dropped 2 of 3 in Wichita this weekend. Those two teams now tied for 3rd in the Western Conference. Here's a look at how the weekend shaped up for the Thunder. A 4-3 win on Valentine's Day, and then an absolute shootout, falling 9-7 the very next night. And then they closed it out with a 6-3 loss on Sunday. But no rest for the weary. All eyes now on the top team in the ECHL, the Florida Everblades.
Yeah, I mean, I think we just have to be ready. I mean, it's going to be a good test to see where we're at. I mean, we're a little banged up right now, which is a little frustrating, but I mean, that's part of the league. I think a lot of it is when you play teams versus who you're playing. So, I mean, that is what it is there. But I think just playing Florida a lot in the past, you just have to be detailed. I mean, that's the biggest thing, is they're pretty good at taking advantage of mistakes. So we just have to make sure that we're taking care of the puck, defending well, good sticks, that kind of thing, that they really do a good job of taking advantage of that kind of stuff.
Still ahead here on Hockey in the Desert Weekly, it is time to turn our attention to the Scarlet and Gray. Dylan Kuntz joins us in studio as we reach the final stretch of the regular season. Welcome back inside Hockey in the Desert Weekly. I am Vince Sapienza. We've talked gold, silver, a little bit of that Tahoe teal. Now it's time for the Scarlet and Gray. And to do that, as always, we had to bring in the Skating Rebels in studio. This week, it is freshman defenseman Dylan Kuntz. Dylan, how are we?
Doing great. Doing great.
Happy to have you. First time. How's it feel? How's the digs feel?
It's pretty cool. I like it.
All right.
So far.
Well, Dylan, you are a freshman, as I mentioned. What has this opening season, this opening campaign with the Scarlet and Gray, the Skating Rebels, what has it been like to be part of this program?
Obviously, last year, coming to not making the championship game, but just not falling a little short. Coming to this year, now we're number 2 in the country, and we're playing really good hockey right now, and trying to get a ring on our finger.
Playing really good hockey is what I would call an understatement. You guys just put up 31 goals against San Diego State on the road. Outscored them 31-2 over the course of 2 games. Talk to me about this weekend. How much fun is a weekend like this? And how important is it to keep the details going when games get out of hand like that?
Especially going to San Diego State. It's obviously a beautiful area. Gorgeous, California. But just playing there, obviously we knew that they weren't going to be the most skilled team, but we had to play our A game, and came out and Friday night played our A game, and then Saturday night also played our A game. So
confidence-wise, what does a weekend like this do for the team at this point in the season?
For sure, for like special teams, like our power play, kind of struggling a little bit. Then getting the game like that, getting some goals under our belt, and then just playing our best hockey.
Dylan, all right, we got to talk about something that I did not think we would be talking about at this point following the weekend, but we've all heard of the Michigan. The guy who puts the puck on a stick, wraps it around the net, embarrasses the goalie and the opposing team. You guys pulled off what we just witnessed as the first ever maybe fake Michigan. Talk me through this, explain it. What am I looking at?
Yeah, so warm-ups, Broziak and Stronger, they did this in warm-ups. I don't know if they planned it or they're just, I don't know, on the same wavelength, but they did it on the warm-ups, and then they went in the locker room and they said, shoot, we might as well try this in a game. And then they had a chance behind the net, and they both looked at each other, and they did it. It was one of the craziest moves I've ever seen.
I mean, it's absolutely filthy. As you can see, San Diego State is absolutely furious. The video shows Cole Wyatt literally has his hands on his head in disbelief. It's one thing to talk about it. It's one thing to practice it. It's another thing to pull it off like that. What was your vantage point of that goal?
I was on the bench, and I see Caleb going around the net. I'm like, oh no, he's gonna do it. He's gonna do it. And then everyone just ecstatic on the bench. It was funny.
All right, so you guys get the sweep this weekend. Again, cement yourselves as the number 2 team in the country with about 3 weeks left to go. You're on the road one more time, Grand Canyon, and then it's an off week before closing the show at home at City National Arena. What are you trying to accomplish these last few weeks before the season comes to an end and Nationals gets going?
Obviously next week, Grand Canyon always plays us hard. They, especially at their home rink, I've heard that they play really solid at their home rink and their home ice, but just playing our A game, staying hot, staying loose, and playing the best that we can.
March 7th, March 8th is the home weekend finale series against Arizona State University. It's been a big point of emphasis to get that place sold out. get that place rocking before you guys leave for nationals and things like that. You have the first responders jersey night on Friday, which I do believe we have those images. Look at those beauties.
Yeah, beautiful.
I mean, you guys have had some awesome jerseys. How does that one rank for you?
That's got to be top 3 at least. Those are gorgeous.
And obviously always for a good cause, first responders night, that you guys will auction them off, raise a bunch of money as you need, because you need to raise money to get to nationals, and then it's senior weekend on Saturday night where you guys are going to be presented the trophy, the conference championship, first piece of hardware in program history. How does that fit on you?
It's crazy. It's actually being a part of the team and then winning the first time after winning the WCHA. It's a good honor. But we all know what our true goal is get a ring on our finger, and we'll go from there.
Lastly, as we just saw, you guys are having a bunch of fun with the fake Michigan first responders jersey night. There's a lot of fun, but it's all business right now, right? I mean, it is all about not just getting to nationals, which you've punched your ticket with the auto bid. Now it's getting that ring, as you said.
Exactly.
What's the vibe right now?
Vibe is good. All of us are a tight-knit group, really tight-knit group. Probably one of the tightest groups I've been in, and everyone's joking around. But once we get on the ice for practice and for workouts, we're all dialed in, and we all know what we want to do.
Dylan Kuntz, freshman defenseman for the Skating Rebels. Thank you so much.
Thank you very
Best
much.
of luck the rest of the way. We will chat, no doubt, here in the not-too-distant future. But we are taking one more break here on Hockey in the Desert Weekly. When we return, it's time to clear the ice. Before we say goodbye, it's time to clear the ice, and to do that, we got to go back to San Diego. I know we just talked about it with Dylan Kuntz, but I cannot get over this fake Michigan. We heard the breakdown, but this thing is a beauty. John Tortorella would have lost his mind. This is Hockey in the Desert. This is Clear the Ice. We thank you for joining us. We'll see you next week.